Okay, hello and good morning everyone. Welcome to JFD Traders Espresso with me, Darius and Anucauskas. Today is the 14th of June 2019, so welcome everyone, welcome to this Friday's morning session, where always we're going to have a look at the market, a few of the charts, a few of the charts from yesterday just to see how they've got along. But before we do that, as always, let's quickly have a read through our risk disclaimer. So, the content we produce does not constitute investment advice or investment recommendation, should not be considered as such, and does not in any way constitute an invitation to acquire any financial instrument or product. As always, a few seconds for you to read the rest, and we can continue. Okay, so also just a quick mention, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, and just to kind of keep up to date with all the videos that we produce and different analysis that we do in different languages as well. So yep, feel free to check us out as well. Yep, and yep, we would like you to subscribe if that's okay. So if it's not much to ask, guys, so yep, we would really appreciate that. But for now, guys, let's quickly jump into the charts. Now the first one I want to touch on here is gold. Now I've talked about this one this in the beginning of this week, and basically I was telling you guys to keep an eye on this key area of support here near the 1320, but then we had a nice rebound from it, so it worked out perfectly, and it worked out perfectly with our target here near the 1348 zone. So as you can see, the commodity managed to reach that area, managed to hit that resistance, and now it's kind of slid back down a little bit. Of course, still this is looking quite positive, and in a way, let me just adjust this arrow now, because what we're going to be looking here for is, of course, as you probably now understood, we need to see that confirmation break, ideally a close of the 4-hour candle above the 1348 zone before targeting higher areas. And by higher areas, I mean, of course, the psychological 1350 level, of course. And if that fails to withhold, and by the way, the 1350 also coincides here with today's R2, so good potential target in a way is possible. So if that gets broken, if the 1350 gets broken, the next target for us is 1355. And just to show you what that level was here in the past, and let me just scroll back here all the way back to the highs of April, so around the 19th, 18th, 19th of April, something like that, 2018. That's basically when the last time the commodity visited those highs. So for now, be very careful. It is currently sitting, like I said, slightly below the 1348 zone. If we get a nice pop above that, the next target for us is, of course, that 1350. But if that fails to hold, this is where we will aim for the 1355 area, and then we'll take it from there. For now, let's see how this is going to play out. If this decides to reverse to the downside, now what you could do here is excuse me, keep an eye on this little tentative upside line. So just kind of have it as a gauge here. If we see a drop below this, then, well, if something like that happens today, this could in a way also put the put gold below its pivot. So if we see a break of this upside line and we see a drop below today's pivot, in a way this could continue sliding a little bit lower, and we could maybe target the 1333 area, something like that, or even actually going a little bit lower here near the 1329.50, approximately there, which actually acted as a nice area of resistance and support previously. So for now, be very careful with this one. Certainly, like I said, let's keep our eyes on the 1348, and let's see how this is going to play out later on. Jumping into euro dollar very quickly on this one, so it continues to play out nicely. So I've talked about this one yesterday, and I was telling you guys to keep a close eye on the 112.90. So if we do get a nice break, and ideally a close below that, a close of the 4-hour candle below that, then we may see this one sliding further down, which we actually did. We did get. Of course, this is what it's forming right now on the 4-hour chart. It doesn't look quite positive. The only thing is that still, in order to kind of continue targeting slightly lower areas, especially today, for example, we would like to see a drop below the 1.1267 area, approximately there, and this way we could aim for further declines. We will aim for the 112.50, very good potential support zone here. Also coincides with the 100 EMA here, shown as the green line, and also marks the low of the 7th of June. So a drop below the 1.1267 could in a way lead the pair towards the 1.1250, and just given the fact that it's only about 17 pips away, so is quite doable. Also, if this level doesn't hold it, then in a way, as you can see, I do have my arrow pointing towards the 1.1215, but just before that we could see a test of the 200 EMA here again, and this would be very interesting to see if it actually breaks it and stays below it. If it doesn't, we may see this one as a good potential area of support, maybe for a small correction back to the upside, but for now, guys, long story short, basically we are somewhat more negative than positive on this one, but we need that confirmation break here below the 1.1267 before we could target slightly lower levels. In terms of the upside, if this travels back up above the 1.1290, then yep, this could increase the chances for the pair to push it a little bit higher again. The only thing is that, and let me just put a new level here very quickly. The only thing is that ideally now what we would like to see here is a push above this one right here, above the 1.1303 level. If we do get a nice push above that, then we could target again this high here, this high, last week's high near the 1.1348. For now, it is where it is. Like I said, I'll repeat myself, a drop below the 1.1267 could increase the chances for a further slide lower. Not much maybe, but a little bit here towards the 1.1250 or this 200 EMA on the 4-hour chart. And on the upside, if we see a push above the 1.1290, this could kind of raise concerns in the bear block, and but if the rate continues to accelerate above the 1.1303, then yep, we will aim for higher levels again. Jumping into GBPNZD now, I talked about this one yesterday, and basically what I was saying that this is still kind of playing out nicely with our scenario. Initially we were talking about a break here near the 1.9255 area, somewhere like that, and it traveled higher, it hit the 200 EMA, and then retraced. But yesterday what I said, guys, that there is a chance we were actually trading here. We were trading around here at the time when I was talking about about GBPNZD in my trader's tea time. What I was saying that we may see this one hitting the 200 EMA. So we did get a nice hit, but what I mentioned as well, that if we see a push above that 200 EMA and the rate stays above it, then now this could increase the chances for GBPNZD to continue pushing higher. Our target is around this 1.9490 level, maybe just slightly below that, a little bit, a few points, but nevertheless, still this is the area that we're keeping a close eye on. In a way, actually, we could even actually just lift it a little bit. Because as you can see, yes, the first target right now is going to be the R2, which is around the 1.9445 level, but our target could be near this in between R2 and R3, and as we know, pairs sometimes do like to hit these levels in between between the pivot points. So yep, keep your eyes on those. So in a way, like I said, if we see a push above the R2, then yep, it will meet our target of 1.9490, but we can, like I said, just bring it slightly higher here in just to market in between the R2 and R3, which could be also a good target, and that's approximately around the 95 zone. So keep your eyes on that one. In terms of the downside, well, it's pretty straightforward. A drop back below the 1.9255 could lead towards slightly lower levels here again. That's why, for example, if you're in such a trade here, it's already very good to kind of place your stop just on break even here, just in case this suddenly reverses and drops back down. So keep your eyes on this one. EURGBP, a very tricky pair, continues to be tricky, and I don't know for how long it will remain being that tricky, because basically it's stuck here between these two levels, the 0.8880 and the 0.8933 zone, approximately there. So where we're waiting here for, and this is what I talked about yesterday, we need to see that nice good clear close of the 4-hour candle below the 0.8880 before we could consider further declines. And by further declines, I mean from the shorter term perspective, we're not going to go radical on this one. We're going to just aim for the 0.8848. That's going to coincide here with the 100 EMA on the 4-hour chart, and then we'll take it from there. See what it wants to do. Does it want to continue pushing further down? If it does, then yep, that's great. We do have a fantastic support zone here near the 0.8824. Which also could play out nicely, but until we see kind of that nice good break below the 0.8880, we're just gonna continue observing the price action. In terms of the upside here, we need to see that clear break above the 0.8933 zone before we could aim for higher levels. So that's why for now, guys, it's a bit of a I'll repeat myself. I mean, that's a bit of a tricky one here. We need to see that confirmation breakthrough one of the sides here, one of the highlighted sides, before we kind of let's say consider a further directional move. USDCAD, okay, so this is now back above this it's back above this downside resistance line, the short-term tentative downside resistance line. So this arrow, as you can see, this downside line didn't hold it, and we saw this one sliding further further to the upside. So for now, I mean, it is kind of still sitting below this long-term upside support line taken from the low of the 31st of January, actually the 1st of February 2018. So it's still below that line. In order for us to, let's say, to consider let's say higher levels in the near term, ideally we still need to see that nice good break here above the 1.3370 zone before we could aim for higher levels. I mean, this would also bring the pair above the above this long-term upside line, and then yep, more bulls could start joining in here. But for now, it's be very careful with this one, just in case this suddenly reverses back down and drops below the 1.33 zone here. Then yep, it could slide back down towards the lows of this week near the 1.3245. This could be a nice potential target, but if that fails to withhold, yep, further declines are possible. But we're not going to go further down yet. We just want to see if it actually reverses back down and drops back below the 1.33 area. Then yep, we'll aim for lower levels. Long story short, basically, guys, because it's now because it climbed back to the this upside, long-term upside line, I mean, it's now could be testing it from underneath. Because it's kind of here, we're going to remain neutral and just observe and wait for that confirmation breakthrough one of the levels that I've just mentioned, either through the 1.3370 or the 1.33 zone here on the downside. And the last pair I wanted to quickly touch on, and that's USDCHF. So continues to respect this little range. So yesterday I talked about this one as well, and we need to see that nice good clear break and a close above the 0.9950 level before we could target even higher levels. Ideally, of course, we would like to see a push above the 0.9962, and then yep, this pair would confirm a forthcoming higher high, and we could target the 200 EMA again. But as you can see, it's still kind of struggling even to overcome the 0.9950 level, and it's also struggling to close below the 0.9930. I talked about this level yesterday. basically this is something for you guys from the shorter term perspective. As you can see, this is what's happening here. We are getting those breaks, but we're not getting that close. We need to see that nice good close below that level before we could target slightly lower areas here again, like the 0.9882 or even lower. For now, we're stuck here. We're gonna be observing the levels, and to be honest, I mean, we probably can shift this highlighted area just for the kind of for the sake of it here, just for that better confirmation. A push above the 0.9962 area approximately there could open the path towards higher levels, and I'll probably reiterate that a little bit. A nice good close, at least of a 4-hour candle above this level, then yep, could lead the pair towards slightly higher levels. For now, it is where it is. Let's wait for those levels to break. Let's wait for those closes, and yeah, let's see how this is gonna play out. So I hope, guys, this has been useful for you. If you want to join me later on at my Traders Tea Time, as always, 13:15 GMT time. But if you don't want to miss it, then yep, you can always subscribe here on our YouTube channel, just to kind of have those quick updates when our next videos are coming out. Okay, guys, I hope you found it useful. Once again, yep, thank you very much for sticking around and watching until the end, and I'll see you later. Bye bye.